right now. And as this is recorded, you'll be able to watch it on the replay later in the group. And as I want to be mindful of your time, but I also would love to connect with you verbally here before we really dive into what lifestyle design is, why this workshop is happening, and how you can leverage it, work with it, and utilize it. I would love to hear from you. Why is lifestyle design something that you are interested in? And this can be in just a few words. And whoever wants to start, feel free to unmute yourself and share with the group. The floor is yours. Why lifestyle design?
I can go. I guess it's just about, like I was talking about, living intentionally, but it's also like just taking a little bit of, how to best put this? Just like, I'm having trouble putting this to words right now.
That's okay.
It's like, yeah, just like intentionally, like designing my life in a way that I want to live and just be, I guess, moving in a direction because often I'll just kind of like float around and chase one shiny thing to the next. And then it's like, okay, having a bit of an idea of the direction I want to go and designing my life accordingly, you know? And it's like, I guess my definition of success is when my kind of behaviors are meeting my values. And so it's kind of like trying to bring that together into everyday living.
Excellent. Yeah, I love it. I think intentional is very powerful. And the other thing that I heard there, which I think is important, is the lifestyle that I want to live. And a lot of times that which we think we want or desire is not necessarily in line with what we truly want and who we truly are. So one of the goals today, I'm just going to mute you here for a second, Dan, as it's a little loud in the background. One of our goals today is to identify not only that which we desire or want, but truly how that feels, and to extrapolate that with our behaviors, our actions, the way that we make decisions, to see if it fully aligns in an emotional way. And this is something that may not happen in today's session because it's only 1 hour, but as you leave today, maybe that starts to integrate or starts to crystallize for you in some shape or form. So that's something to keep in mind. Anybody else would like to share why lifestyle design for them?
I can share.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We talked at the same time.
I'll let Kyra go, and then Madalena, you can go.
Good timing. I think kind of like what I think Dan was saying, that we often have an idea of what our values are or what is very important to us. And then our behaviors and what we do every day in and out, even like without realizing it, they're not the same. And so the more we have conversations like this and start to understand and realize if what's in our heart and what's in our head are actually like aligning, I think more clear it becomes. So like the more you sift through the chaos, I think some more clarity evolves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with that. And what I'm hearing, or what's coming up for me as you're saying this, is to be in relationship with our values and our actions. And that relationship is the space where we're able to, as I was saying earlier, make more deliberate decisions that are more in line with that which fills our cup versus that which empties it. Or you can also look at it as that which contributes and is of service to others versus that which is taking. So yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you, Kyra. Madalena, I'm gonna let you go.
Okay, so I think these conversations can help me find my way closer to the direction I want to go, because in the past we take decisions according to where we want to go, but then you just follow that path and don't think a lot maybe about it, more in my case, and suddenly you find yourself, no, it's not really this. So, and you need to get back in track, you know, and these talks kind of help me, I think, get back in the direction with what I really is my the way I think and the way I feel about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. It's kind of like the analogy of climbing up a ladder that's leaning up against a wall, and then when you get to the top, you realize, oh, there's nothing here. There's just a wall. I need to climb back down and find another ladder. It's okay to reach a wall and notice that you climbed up the wrong ladder, so to speak, because no matter what ladder you choose, whether you were aware of it or not, that climbing of the ladder taught you something. And one of the most valuable aspects of these conversations, and that which we're trying to nurture here, is to realize that we haven't made any wrong moves, any wrong decisions. They've all been decisions that have been enlightening in some way, and our ability to notice where we have been enlightened or where we have been taught the lesson that we need to learn, that's where the magic starts to happen and starts to translate. So I'm excited for that, and something that I think we'll find here is that there is going to be words or moments, or somebody's going to say something that will resonate. That which resonates is that which vibrates with us in a way that we say, oh yeah, that's a good vibe for me. I like that. That's the stuff that we need to take and move with. And the more we can operate in that fire right there, the more we can cook up some great meals. So that's something that I'm excited to see you be able to take away from this, even if it's just a little bit. Anybody else want to share why lifestyle design for them and what brings them here? Although I did get to read some of that in the chat.
Yeah, maybe me. I think I always feel very inspired when I see these people here. It makes me feel very much at home and a bit like looking into nature, even though it's the screen and I don't like screens. So this is something that makes me very happy. And even though it feels very exciting to become myself, my real self, or connect more to the inner values while I act, I still feel very cold and shaky inside when I have to do it, especially in surroundings that met me in a different personality, or that used my personality to please their fears, I would say. So connecting myself to myself through looking at you makes me feel less lonely and more supported.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah, I think community is such a powerful element of not only living a lifestyle that's fulfilling, but also for healing. And I talked about this briefly the other day on a live with a friend of mine who, Sarah, you know, Jacko, David Jackson. He used to be a rugby player. And anyways, we were talking and I was sharing that I've been experiencing some shoulder pain and some neck pain from my handstand practice and carrying a baby sometimes. So it's been accumulating a little bit. And anyways, I was doing this practice and I was having some pain, and my wife came into the room while I was doing my handstands and said, "Hey, can you come over for a minute? There's something downstairs you need to see." And I looked at her and I was a little frustrated because she was interrupting my very, very important practice. And in addition to that, I was a little upset because I was also in a little bit of pain and I was having a pity party in that moment. And I felt so lonely and so small. And she just said, come downstairs, you need to see something. I said, okay, I'm coming. So I walked over, huffing and puffing, and I walked downstairs. I opened the door, and across the street, I see a good friend of mine standing there on the other side of the road, and he was actually holding this hoodie. And he said, "Hey, I brought you a gift." And the moment I saw him, and I hadn't seen him since the start of the pandemic, the moment I saw him, all pain went away. And for the 90 minutes that we hung out outside in the freezing cold, I felt nothing but joy. And this human connection is so powerful, especially when it's surprising. I'm not one to like surprises, but when you begin to enjoy the surprises, the stuff that happens in life when you least expect it, you fall in love with life and you become in awe of life. And there, your sorrows, your losses, feeling lost, feeling alone, all of those things start to disappear and dissipate. And that clarity, although it's temporary, is, I don't have a word right now to really describe it, but it contains the meaning of life. And when you can live in that place, in a place where, wow, for a moment, I understand, for a moment, it's clear, then very meaningful change starts to happen. And that's what we can call, like Simone was saying, expansion, the evolution of our consciousness, the increase of our self-awareness, and thus the ability to express ourselves in more genuine, authentic ways. So that's wonderful, Sarah, and I appreciate you always being here. You are definitely a connector, and it's wonderful to have that around. So it's a gift. Okay. If anybody wants to say anything, know that you can always just raise your hand in the chat or on the screen, and I will pause at any time to jump in. But I'm going to officially get this party started now, and we're going to get nice and serious, okay, about what is lifestyle design. And for many, lifestyle design is something that, when I say many, I'm not including you necessarily, but for many, when they think about lifestyle design, they start to think about how should I sleep? What should my sleep hygiene be like? What should I eat? How important is hydration? How important is having exercise, movement? How important is it to have some skills that I develop, work that I do, making money, and then developing some kind of machine that gives me access to resources and allows me to produce resources, and so on. Other people think about lifestyle design as creating a calendar for themselves, a structure, a grid, a schedule. Other people see lifestyle design as designing practices that, if done, elicit positive outcomes. And positive outcomes is something that we can talk about later, and everybody has their own. But for me, lifestyle design, what it really is, it's simply the practice of noticing who we are in relationship to the life that we're living. And I'm going to say that again. It's noticing who we are, who we truly are in the relationship to that which we're expressing through our lifestyles. These words, although so obvious when I say them, if you pause and meditate on them, reflect on them, something very unique will come up for each and one of you. And whatever that is, it's right there where I encourage you to find the anchor for what today's conversation is going to bring. So once again, I want you to think about who you are in relationship to the lifestyle that you currently live. And in there, whatever comes up, that's where you're going to anchor everything that we're going to talk about today. I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to allow this to guide us through today's process a little bit. And some of you have gone through the interface. Some of you have done lifestyle design, not only the workshop, but you've also done one-on-one with me. So this will be a great refresher, and it's an opportunity to revisit that which you did in the past and compare it, contrast it with what you're doing today, and see if it's leading you where you thought you were going when you first started. And for those of you who have never done this, never gone through this, simply sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Now, what is lifestyle design? Well, when we take the words lifestyle design, we can break it up into three parts: life, style, and design. Life is the game. It's what we're playing. And I choose to call it a game because it's like playing a character in a movie. And in this movie, we're not only going through these stages of development, but as we're doing it, we're playing a character. And that character is also playing a game, and it's the game of life. And the game of life expresses itself at many different levels. It expresses itself in family, in relationships, intimate relationships. It expresses itself in work, in your skills, your craft. It expresses yourself in your relationship to who you think, in relationship to, and who you think you are in relationship to society, to cultures. And the sooner you start to notice that life is a little bit like a game, you start to take it less serious. And it's not that life is not serious, because yes, it is, but it's supposed to be a little playful. The style side of lifestyle is the way. It's the way that you're choosing to play this game. It's the path that you're taking. It's your own unique expression. It's the slightly, even though slightly altered way of pursuing something that many in this world pursue. And this can be as simple as, let's say you decide to become a doctor, and you go to school and you get your degree. You can specialize in medical school, and in your specialty, you can choose different avenues to go down. It's the fractalness, we could call it, of choosing something that somebody else has done before you. And this, being able to celebrate this unique expression, is extremely important. And it's something that the sooner we become grateful for having the opportunity to do, the sooner it becomes very meaningful and significant. And then finally, design. Design is the practice. And although design can be where aesthetics and function meet, and where you are organizing your life, it's the practice of designing that is that which allows your way to be clear and your game to be played in the most beautiful manner possible. And that's something that today, as we're speaking and we're engaging here, I want you to keep in consideration. Now, for all of us, we operate with a mental model of the world. And this mental model is presented in our minds, in our heads, in our bodies as a story. And my question to you right now, as you are sitting at home and listening in here, what is your story? If somebody said, hey, what's your story? What would you say? Think about that for a little bit. And if you have a notebook, just write down one sentence. What is my story? And for me, maybe it's, I was born in the US to Swedish parents. I grew up in Spain. I was a scared kid that found gymnastics and found his courage. And somewhere along the way, I decided to pursue a career in environmental science, which ended up becoming something completely different. I entered the fitness scene and I became a teacher. And through fitness, I found my love for lifestyle. And in lifestyle, what I focus on the most is on assisting people in learning how to get their needs met, and to do so through the navigation of our emotions. That could be my story. What's your story? That story that I just told you, I made up. Yes, some of it happened, but it's simply my story. And that story is very influential on how I make decisions. And each one of you has your own story. And something that I encourage everybody who comes to my interface workshop is to make sure that that story doesn't go untold, because that is a tragedy. So tell your story and be courageous enough to share what you've got, because what you got is meaningful, it's powerful. And regardless of where you come from, if you do it, you will assist other people in doing the same. And through that assistance, you will be receiving some wonderful gifts. And we can talk about what those gifts are later. Now, our story is influenced by not only our nature, which we could say that which we have inherited through our DNA, but also our nurture. And when we think about our nurture, it's not only that which has been taught to us, but it's also that which we have chosen to learn. And I want you to really start to think about, where are you taking responsibility and where are you not taking responsibility in terms of the influences on your story? Simply think about that for a little bit. And as you notice the influences on your story, I want you to notice what comes up. Is it resistance? Is it clarity? Is it confusion? Whatever may be coming up for you, just allow that to be the space on which we can continue to unfold in this conversation. The story, in other words, is who you think you are. Now, our story influences our behaviors, our actions, what we do. And our actions are divided into two. The actions that the world gets to see, and the actions that only you get to see. You maybe heard the dramatic saying, which is everybody dies alone. And this tragic and dramatic saying, in many ways, what it's trying to share is that all of us have something that we have yet to express. And when our time comes in this world, there's always more. There's always going to be more left in the tank. That being said, if you are very expressive and you're very transparent and you share everything that is on your heart and you give everything that you have to this world, maybe when that time comes, there will be less loneliness. There will be this deeper sense of security that I feel fulfilled because I fully connected, I fully engaged. On the other side, though, there is the part of us that we're hiding. And the part of us that we're hiding is that which we have maybe done or learned or thought about that we are a little bit ashamed of or embarrassed of, or we're uncertain as to whether bringing that out is something that we can handle, meaning handling the feedback that we may receive or the reaction that we may receive. And this is something that some of you have heard me say before, but this is part of a little initiative that I started a few years ago called the Be Proud Project. And it was just a little fun thing that I was doing. But basically what it was saying, take everything that are your personal traits and put them down on paper, everything that is characteristic of you. Take everything that you have done and achieved and write about that. And when I say everything that you've done, I mean everything. And then I want you to take everything that you have in your possession, everything that you own. Maybe you own a phone, or you own some kind of like tripod like this, or you own a notebook or a pen, everything you own, a car, clothes, everything. And then take all of your relationships, every single relationship that you're in, and write about that. And once you have all of your personal traits or characteristics, all of your achievements and actions, every single one of them, all of your possessions and all your relationships, and you put that in your mind in a way where you imagine it being put on display for the whole world to see, where everybody gets to see everything, whatever comes up for you in that moment, that's where the work needs to be done. That's where the design process of your lifestyle needs to be done. And it starts with some kind of reconciliation. And this is that part of you where you say, well, that's private. That's only for me. Okay, that's totally fair. Regardless, it's there where the work needs to be done. I bring this up because our actions, whether they are past, now, present, or future, are influenced by our story. And something that we're going to learn, and I'm just going to cut to the chase, is that we are not our story. That's why I encouraged you earlier to ask yourself, what relationship do you have in terms of who you think you are in relationship to the lifestyle that you're currently living? So anyways, that's a little exercise that you can do. And if you forgot what I said, don't worry, you can watch this on the replay later. But it's a way of identifying that which is alive in you and that which needs a little nurture. Now, our actions, that which we do, is influenced, directed by our intention. And our intention is, as some of you already mentioned earlier, your purpose or the logic, the rationale behind your actions. And when it comes to intentions, our intentions always come with a positive intent. We always seek a positive outcome. Even those people who cause harm on others or behave in negative ways and maybe a danger to others, even they act with a positive intention. The natural consequence of their positive intentions are not necessarily positive outcomes, but they have a reason for doing what they're doing. And it's influenced by the story that they're telling themselves. And this is simply important to keep in mind because every single one of us has positive intention. Every single person you interact with has a positive intention. Every single system you belong to has a positive intention, but that doesn't mean that it is producing positive outcomes. Becoming aware of this is key, because the awareness is what's going to allow us to change it if we so choose to. So we have story, action, and intention. Story, action, and intention is at the top. It's the high level of how we operate. And our action, when you start to think about it, only appears or manifests in context. And context simply means in the moment with a particular set of circumstances. And this context is something that we participate in through our role, the role that we're playing because somebody has given us the role, or a role that we have taken on. I want you to think about it this way. If you have a family, what role do you play in your family? And in this moment, you may say, well, wait a second, the family that I was born into, if so, I play the role of daughter or son or brother or sister. If it's the role in the family that I have chosen, meaning I've chosen a partner and we have kids, there I play maybe the father, the mother, I play a different role. So it's important to notice that you play a role in different contexts. And each one of these roles serves a purpose. It serves as a vehicle for expressing ourselves with clear intentions. But here's where we run into trouble. And the trouble is that most of us play more than one role per day. And right now, if you have a notebook right there, just on the notebook, write down a few roles that you play. It can be, I play father, I play grandpa, I play owner of a business, I play coach, I play member of society. What roles do you play? Just write them down. I'm going to give you a minute to do so. If you get more than 5 roles, just raise your hand or look straight into the camera. I would love to know. So if you get more than 5, just raise your hand. Okay, Phil got 5. Excellent. So now check this out. If you got more than 5, that means that you make at least 4 role transitions per day. A role transition is going from one role to another. If I have 5 roles, I make 4 transitions. Why is this important to notice? Well, this is important to notice because it's in transition where, as human beings, we tend to run into trouble. I've set this example many times before, but it works for me, and maybe it will work for you as I share it. And if you've heard it before, here it is again. Imagine I'm playing the role of coach because I am a coach at a CrossFit gym, and I am in that role mode. And I'm transitioning from work to home. I park my car, I go up into my apartment or into my house or wherever I live. And as I enter the house, all of a sudden, I am now in the role of a family member. If in that transition, I am unaware that I am moving or shifting from one way of expressing myself to another, what can happen is that we can experience almost like a short circuit or a disruption in our operating system and the way that we operate. And it can come in the following form. I'm coming from work. Let's say I had a very successful day. I'm feeling on top of the world. Everything is great. I've been able to serve my clients. My clients are really happy. Everyone is producing amazing results. I walk through the door and all of a sudden the baby is crying. And my wife says, hey, change the diaper. All of a sudden, I'm kind of like, change the diaper? I'm Coach Carl. I was just doing this killer thing. And in that moment, I may react in a negative fashion. Like, I just got home. Chill. I may say something like, just give me a minute. And in that moment, behave in a way that is not in alignment with my values or how I would like to express myself in this world. And it happened because I got caught in the transition. So the more roles we play per day, the more transitions we experience, and the more opportunities there are for falling into the transition gap. And the transition gap taking us from a place of deliberate expression, which is one that feels a little bit in control and one that feels like they're doing things in a meaningful way, to reflexive behavior, which is the one that's reactive and uncertain and can be a little edgy and in a mood that is not translatable into something that feels good. So what do we have to do? Well, we have to work on our transitions. And the way that we work on our transitions is by noticing them. My role as coach or work role is starting to fade out right now. And I'm noticing this transition because I am driving home. During that drive home, if I can begin to put myself in the role of being a family member, when I enter the door, I will have left behind, I will have let go, detached from my old role, and I'll be in my new role. And by doing so, my behavior will no longer be reactive, but rather responsive. You'll come in and be like, hello, how's your day? Does the baby need a change? Yes, I got it. Boom, boom, boom. Here I go. Do you want me to take the trash out? Yeah, I got that too. All right, I'm just going to shower and I'll be right over. I'll set the table. We're having dinner soon. Crushing it, right? Moreover, you're not only crushing it, but you're feeling good. So what is one thing that we can also do in addition to work on our transitions? Well, we can create categories for our transitions. Categories for our roles. And these categories, if you start to think about them, you can start to break them down into, instead of within your family, say you're a father, a husband, a son, a brother, all these roles, you just say, this is my family category. This is my work category. This is my personal development category, or skills, crafts, hobbies category. This is my community, friends, family, relax, recovery category. When you do that, what ends up happening is that you begin to experience less transitions. We have within each category several roles, thus we have less transitions that we go through. Dan has a question.
Sorry to interrupt your flow there. So just so that I understand it, so you're categorizing the roles that you have. So like two roles may fall under a single category kind of deal?
Yeah. So for example, let's say you're a business owner, and as a business owner, you may play several roles. Let's say you own a coffee shop. You may be running the business, managing the staff, and at the same time working as a barista. You have these three different roles, and every time you transition from one role to another, and this can be as simple as communication with your staff, you can run into that transition gap. But when you create a category and you just say, this is my work role, all of a sudden you become more fluid. You become one with your expression. And this is simply something that we practice in our head and we start to bring to the forefront in very gentle ways. And a very simple way of doing this is by slowing down. And I'm going to share a personal example that I experienced this morning. We didn't sleep very well last night. We had a baby in our bed and everything was a little bit of a mess. And this morning, our dog, who went to the beach yesterday, really needed to go out and was like, it was urgent. She needed to get out and do her deed. And she was tapping around, scratching the door. She was very excited to get out the door to go pee. And I had the baby, so my wife had to take the dog out. And my wife was moving so slow. She was so methodical about putting her pants on, opening the thing, her going to the bathroom, grabbing the keys, doing all these things. And in my head, I was like, can't you just hurry up already and just take the dog out? Don't you see the dog is panicking? In my mind, I was saying this. And a few seconds later, I realized, she moves slow and it irritates me in this moment, but she rarely makes any mistakes. So what I am irritated about is my own dissatisfaction with how the transition is occurring. But the way that my wife is doing it is in a very Zen-like way, very mindful, very methodical, and is doing it in a way that the job is going to get done. And there will be very few errors, very few mess to clean up. This is kind of like, I'm not a very good cook. I'm not good in the kitchen. But if I'm making something in the kitchen, you'll see pots, pans, eggs over here, stuff. It's just a mess. I'm a mess. I'm a disaster. When my wife cooks, what she does is she makes these gourmet meals, and as she goes, she's cooking and cleaning. So everything is always pristine. And I wonder, how do you do that? Well, she does it because she is not allowing herself to compartmentalize her expression in a way where she gets caught in the transition. Everything is a transition. Everything is one. And that's when everything becomes very fluid, very beautiful, very artistic, very artful. This is the ultimate expression in my view of what a lifestyle that is rich. It's what it looks like, it's what it feels like. And it comes down to execution. And when it comes to execution, it's important that the outcome of our execution is as follows, is that it's safe, secure, something that it won't cause harm, something that is useful, meaning that it serves a purpose, it's of utility, and ultimately long-lasting. Long-lasting, longevity is that which allows us to be successful, not only because we are completing something, but for those of you who attended a coffee club a few weeks ago, it's that which allows you to create a succession. You can create a flow, a follow through. So when we become very seamless in our transition from one role to another, our execution becomes safe, useful, and lasting. And that's where we begin to make an impact. And the question here is, what kind of impact? What is that ripple effect like? What are those natural consequences of our actions? What is the influence of our action? Well, hopefully that is one that is significant, meaningful, and positive to not only you, but your community, your surroundings, this planet. So what is this? Well, the story we tell ourselves, the behaviors that we exhibit, the intention behind those actions and behaviors in context through our role, expressed in detail in our execution, and producing some sort of impact is what we call our personal operating system. This is how we all operate. And it's important to realize that we can not only be aware of this operating system, which kind of falls in a box, we can call this a software, but through awareness of it, we can upgrade it. And upgrading it is what it means to become fitter. And the word fitness, as you'll see here, ness is a state or quality, and fit is of suitable standard to meet the required purpose. If you look up the definition of fit, you'll see several, but when it comes to behavior, fit is being able to express ourselves at a level that allows us to meet a purpose. And what is a purpose? Well, a purpose is a need in context. Thus, every single one of us has to become aware of what are my needs in this moment, in this context, and how do I have to express myself? What does that standard need to be in order for me to get those needs met? What is the state or quality of that standard? That is fitness. And that right there is that which allows us to upgrade our personal operating system. And how does that work? Well, it works by taking a slightly different approach to the story that we tell ourselves, to the way that we choose to express ourselves, to the intention behind our actions, and how we contextualize it and interpret it through the roles that we execute through. And this is exciting because when you start to see this, you start to define what your purpose is, your own purpose. And this is where everybody who has worked with me has gone through this, Ikigai, whether it's through a workshop like lifestyle design or interface or thinking clearly, this is key. So if you've done this before, wonderful. If not, I encourage you to do it again. Ikigai is directly translated into the reason for being, and it's what's known as the Japanese art of purpose. And here, when going through Ikigai, something that I would like to encourage every single one of you today is to, instead of thinking big picture, think small picture. And go through the Ikigai process in context of something that you chose. For example, let's say I wanted to do Ikigai on my role as a teacher in this workshop specifically. I would answer the following questions accordingly. So I would identify, in terms of this context, what is it that I love? Well, I love looking at your faces. I love sharing some of this information. I love having a dialogue with you. I love being challenged. I love challenging. Those are things that I love. Then I would address, what is it that I'm good at in these workshops? Maybe I'm good at keeping a flow. Maybe I'm good at giving you space to think. Maybe I'm good at detaching from what your personal experience is in order for me to be free and continue to unfold. Maybe I'm good at answering questions in a way that gives you, the individual, a unique answer, but also translates into the group. Those are things that maybe I'm good at. Then I would answer, what is it that I'm doing right now in exchange for value or money? Well, in this case, if I'm just thinking about value, what value am I bringing? Well, maybe I'm bringing a slightly different perspective that allows for you to have another different perspective and thus translate that into a more valuable life, a more meaningful life, being able to execute in different realms of your life in unique ways that bring you joy. And then finally, answering the question of that which I believe the world needs more of, or in context, in this case, what do you need more of? When I'm answering this in context of being a teacher here, I start to think, what is it they need more of? The people that I'm looking at right now, I see Kyra, I see Madalena, what do they need more of? And to simply reflect on that. When I can do that, I will identify, as many of you know, the overlap between that which I love and that which I'm good at, which is that which I'm passionate about within this context. That which I'm good at and that which I do in exchange for value, that's what my profession is in this case. In this case, I am Teacher Carl, here I am. And then I can identify the overlap between the exchange of value and that which you need, and that's my vocation, it's my contribution. And as many of you know, when we are able to notice our passion, profession, and vocation, it's kind of like having a tripod like this. My passion is one leg, my profession is another leg, my vocation is another one. And then on top right here, what goes? Well, this is where I would place a camera. I would place the lens through which I see the world. Or in this case, as you can see right here, I would place my mission. And the mission is usually defined by that which you love and that which the world or the people that you're working for need more of. So today or tomorrow or next week, I encourage you to do this exercise, but make it very contextual. Choose one area of your life and work on it there. Don't do the big picture, do small micro picture and see where it takes you. Now, in regards to the mission, those of you who have been through the interface or lifestyle design before, you've answered these questions, but here's what I want you to answer. I want you to answer in context, in that micro context that I was just talking about. Who are you? Or at least who do you think you are? And if you don't know who that is, you can say, I'm Phil, I'm Simone, I'm Kyra, I'm Dan, I'm Sarah. Who are you? What do you do? Meaning, how are you executing? Who do you do it for? Meaning, who are the people you think you're assisting or serving? What do they need? And then finally, when they get their needs met, what impact does that make? If you're able to answer these questions, the clarity in your contextual purpose will increase. And why is it important to have an increased clarity in our purpose? Well, remember that fitness, being fit, our ability to upgrade our personal operating system requires us to meet a purpose. The purpose is the target. The purpose is the goal. When we are able to meet the purpose, that's when we produce the results that we want. So purpose is two things. It's one, it's the bullseye. It's the thing that we're hitting. And it's also our motion, the clarity around that motion. And it can be found here. And what makes it convoluted or a little bit flimsy at times and almost ungraspable is because it's many things in one. And only you can identify what that is and describe what that is, because it requires your own unique signature. So I would encourage you to write your personal mission within that context. And you don't need to share it with anybody. You simply have to have it there for yourself, even if it's in the back of your head. And as I said, make it the anchor of what your lifestyle is. And when you do this, now you can begin to design. And a design process is something that happens daily. It's not something that you just design today and then stick to and hope that it's going to carry over. It's an infinite number of iterations. You're constantly coming back. It's polishing and polishing and polishing and polishing. That is the mastery. And design, as many of you have followed, and if you've watched I believe it was the Thinking Clearly workshop, we talked about this. It's important to reflect in these different areas. Our imagination. Allow yourself every single day to imagine. Just allow yourself to flow free and have ideas that are not specific and out there, and allow your mind to wander. We're constantly being fed so much information that we never give ourselves a chance to really be free in our heads. And sometimes when we go into imagination, a lot of us default into ideation. Oh, I'm feeling some kind of pain in my shoulder. Should I be doing some rehab right now? Or should my posture be better? And you start to ideate. Let go of ideation when you are imagining. Simply flow free. When we can play the imagination game on a daily basis, we start to discover life from a different perspective. Things take different shapes and forms and different colors and sounds, and it shapes us. And as our imagination begins to shape us and we notice that it's starting to shape us, that's when we can choose to come into the ideation process. Ideation, as I've shared here many times, is simply putting onto paper or creating an infrastructure for action, a sequence of events, a plan. This plan is a beautiful anchor, but it can also be a trap. The corporate world loves it. Let's plan to plan. Let's have a meeting to talk about when we can meet. Ideation is something that a lot of people fall into the trap because it brings up all of the insecurities that can potentially arise from the newness of the change that they want to manifest, that they want to express. And this is where spending time in the imagination world, in the place of simply wandering, will allow you to break free from the ideation. I'm looking at Phil right now, and I'm just imagining him producing another film, and him thinking about the idea coming to him and saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden, when it's time to start to act on this idea, the idea yesterday, last night, when I was feeling kind of special, sounded great, but today, I'm kind of uncertain as to if this is going to work. Is this going to be financially viable? Is this even, can I do this? What are people going to think if I say this? They're going to think I'm totally crazy. Spending time in the imagination will allow you to break free from the narrow pathway of the ideation. And in order to fully break free, you have to implement. You have to simply execute. And sometimes it's as simple as doing one thing that pertains to that which you were ideating. And it can be as simple as this. Somebody yesterday was talking to me online and saying that he has some very loud roommates. He can't sleep at night. He's getting really frustrated. He's even getting sick because he's not getting enough sleep. And he was going on and on and on and on. And I said, have you talked to them? Have you told them how you feel? He's like, no, I can't do that. I can't tell them how I feel. Okay. Well, do you know what you feel? And after some time, he figured it out. And I said, okay, do you feel ready to go now? And he said, no, I don't think I can do it. I said, okay, well, let's spend a little bit more time in the imagination. And after a while, he's like, okay, I think I'm ready. And I said, okay, I'll talk to you in a bit. And maybe 30 minutes later, I messaged him and I said, hey, how did it go? And he's like, I didn't dare. I got caught up doing something else. And then the momentum just went away. And this is where you have to act immediately. You have 10 to 20 seconds to act on an idea. If you can do it within that little window and just get one little ounce out, then you will have knocked over the first domino. And that first domino allows you now to not only be dreaming about it and writing about it, but actually living it. And this constant influx and reflux of living in those three aspects of our mind, the imagination, ideation, and implementation, is key for constantly refining your lifestyle, and that becoming what you live, and the life that you're living being your purpose manifested. This, although convoluted, is the essence of producing the results that you want to produce, feeling the way that you want to feel. The question now is, where do we start? Carl, you said so much. What do I do? Do I just do Ikigai and go? Or do I just think about upgrading my personal operating system? What do I do? Well, what you do is you use the confusion, the new space that you created. You use some of the ideas that came up for you throughout this hour together, and you begin to work with them. And not only today, but every day until they have translated into that which you envision in your head. And even though that which you envision in your head doesn't look anything like it in this reality, if you pay close attention, it will feel like it. And that is the true lifestyle and value that we shall be looking out for. Okay. Now that we've gone through that, which is a lot, let's get into some questions and let's get into some nitty-gritty. And let's all leave here with some, even if minute, action plan. First and foremost, what is coming up for you? Or do you have a question? Phil.
First of all, thanks again. I had a question regarding the transition phase. And this was, do you think that there are certain roles in life that transition better into each other than others? Or would you say that the seamlessness of the transition depends more on the individual story and practice of oneself?
I couldn't hear you very well. So I'm uncertain as to what you asked there at the end. But I'll just say this. Noticing the transitions is more important than noticing your roles. That's the first and foremost. The other thing is that every night when you go to sleep, you go through the biggest transition of your day. Every time you go to bed and you go into that major transition, the moments that you are aware of are right before falling asleep, when you wake up, and sometimes when you are in your dream state. Either way, if you can become aware that you're transitioning into sleep and into a new day that you're going to start, in the beginning of entering the tunnel of sleep, that's where the intention needs to be set. And you need to say, it's time to shift gears. When I wake up tomorrow, what is it that I want to experience? What is it that I want to feel? How do I want to start my day? And when that time comes, to realize whether you remembered or not. The moment you can remember that what you set as an intention the moment you went to bed versus the moment you woke up, that's the moment you're creating big shifts. So first and foremost, notice the transitions over the roles that you play. And in the transitions, set an intention and remember that intention by the time you exit the transition. Does that kind of make sense? Some yes, some no. Okay. You go to bed. You had a shit day. Hate my life. Things are just not working out the way that I want. I'm so tired. I'm exhausted. Okay, great. That's how you feel right now. That's fine. But I'm entering a transition. My awareness allows me to notice that I'm having a pity party. So I say, as I know that I'm entering a transition, I would like to set an intention to use this transition as a reset. And tomorrow when I wake up in the morning and I open my eyes, the first thing I want to experience is gratitude. And I want to say, wow, thank you. I just woke up right now and I have a new chance to live out my purpose, to live out my life in a way that feels easy, effortless, fulfilling, healthy, connected, all of the stuff that you want to feel, all the stuff that is expansive, all the stuff that is healthy. And to make that the practice. If you can do it in a night's time, in a night transition, then you can start to do it elsewhere. I'm leaving my home to go to work. I'm sitting on the bus. Before I step onto the bus, I know I'm entering a transition tunnel. When I get to work today, I'm coming in and I'm feeling fire. I'm not only energized, but I'm willing to listen, and I'm willing to pay attention, and I'm ready to learn, and I'm ready to go through my day where I'm giving a max effort, but I'm getting everything that I need in return. And the moment you get off the bus to step into your work, you remember that, you embody that, and then you put it into action. This is what may happen. That plan, that ideation, that intention may go to shit. It's gonna happen. You're gonna get thrown off. It's okay. You will try again. The moment you're thrown off balance, oh, I wasn't expecting that. What do I do? You are entering a new transition. Oh, I'm aware that I'm entering a transition. What's my intention? My intention is to realize that I was thrown off balance. My original intention was to come into the work and to do this with good energy, be contributing, accepting everything that's coming my way, and to do this with effortless ease. My intention is to return to that. The return to the focus, the return to the purpose, the return to the intention, that is practice. And that is the design. I'm meditating. Here I am sitting, paying attention to my breath. My mind wanders off into thought. And I realize, wait a second, I'm meditating. I'm supposed to be paying attention to my breath. I return to the breath. It's the return that is the practice. That transition, that's where the magic happens. Does that clarify a little bit to you, Phil? And does that clarify a little bit more to you, Dan? Yep, thumbs up, thumb middle, down. Great, okay. More questions? Any thoughts?
It wasn't really clear until that last thing that you said about the meditation, because through breath work and meditating and yoga, I noticed my mind wandering, but then I can come back. And then when I realized that that's happened and I've made that loop, then that noticing of those things makes whatever I was noticing seem less intense, whether it's an emotion or a physical sensation. So I think you making that connection helps a lot, because the transitions that you're talking about in life seem big, like really big, but then taking it down to something like meditation is more feasible. So that helped a lot.
And if you pay attention, everything is in transition. The only constant is change, is transition. I inhale, I'm transitioning, I'm exhaling. It's in noticing the transition from the inhale to the exhale where you notice, oh yeah, life is coming in, life seems to be going out, but life outside is creating life, thus life is coming in again. Everything is working together. How can I ride the wave of transition? Mentally and emotionally, I ride it through purpose. I ride it through intention.
That example you gave before about, before speaking about the meditation and the breathing, it's a good example, the one in going into work and having those intentions. But the thing is, it doesn't depend only on you getting out of balance. How do you make your practice useful and efficient if it doesn't depend only on you? Sometimes you just are surprised with, in a positive and negative way, and that doesn't matter. The thing is, it doesn't depend only on you.
Yeah, most of our lives and that which is happening is out of our control. The question is, how can you let go of that which is out of your control, yet sit in that which is in your control or seemingly control, and be a container to receive, but without being overridden? What I mean by that is, let's say you have a plan to go from A to B, from one place of town to another place of town. And all of a sudden, there is construction on one road. And then another road has some kind of festival. And then this part of town has something else. It's how do you see these roadblocks and be like, huh, festival. Okay, I'll take this. Oh, construction. Interesting. Uh-oh, I am late. And then notice, am I worrying about being late right now? Why am I worrying? Am I worrying about losing my job? Am I worried because I had said that I was going to be there on time and all of a sudden my accountability and reliability is going to be jeopardized and I don't want to be seen as somebody that is not reliable? You see, so it's becoming aware of what's coming up for you and then choosing what action is the best action in this moment, according to what I'm capable of, what I'm aware of, to allow me to meet my own standard. And in doing so, coming to the realization that maybe the standard that you're setting for your life, although honorable, although righteous, is not serving you nor others. Thus, it's time to change.
Can I also add something on that, Carl?
Please.
Maybe it doesn't make any sense, Madalena, but maybe it relates to something that you experience. Because for me, a lot of times, like when it comes to work, at least in the past before Corona, let's say I come with the best intention to a place and I want to create ease for the people and quality. And there will always be people that don't want me to pass through their negativity or their hate for life or for the job or whatever. And maybe in those situations, it's also very nice to first to trust that there will always be one person within that day or in the spot that you're working that is going to take it with grateful heart, even though the person might be expressing anger and hate, the person might be needing your lifestyle. And the other thing is also to then decide, okay, if this is just a game, I might just use these people as an exercise for me to stay connected towards my energy, because maybe you can't change your job or whatever is surrounding you in that given moment because of reasons, but still using them to stay connected to your ease instead of staying connected to their energy or purpose of life is maybe this is the great thing about the situation you're in now, you know? Maybe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's wonderful. And I fully agree. For one, anything that we see in other people that we like or dislike lives inside of us. So might as well acknowledge it and work with it. Even that which is coming up as you're navigating this world, let's say you constantly encounter roadblocks, or you're always in traffic, or you always catch red lights. There is something in you that is bringing that up. And maybe it's as simple as you noticing that you're catching more red lights than usual and not noticing that you're actually catching a lot of green lights, or that there are a lot of paths that are open. Your perception of the reality, and when I say your, I mean our perception of reality, is heavily influenced by the model of the world that we follow. Simone has a great question here, which I wanted to address, which starts with, transition is a succession, though ideally a progression. Yes, ideally we are progressing somewhere rather than regressing. And we shift from one place to another only if we feel uncomfortable. Yes, moving away from pain will lead you to discomfort, and in discomfort, you will learn some lessons, 100%. How do we not drown in the anguish of that discomfort? Well, this is where we have to create and set boundaries. And we have to say, wait a minute, I need a second, I'll be right back. You recompose yourself, re-energize yourself, and then you come back. Hey, you left too long. Well, I told you I had to leave for a second because I was about to blow up. But now I'm here in calm, I can say this, I can do this, I can be this. So we have to set boundaries. This is something that I learned as a very meaningful lesson. I was giving a seminar in Argentina, and the seminar was packed, and halfway through I fell ill, and all of a sudden I couldn't continue. So I thought to myself, should I just plow through and die here, or should I tell them that I need a break? And I decided, you know what, I'm just going to tell them I need a break. I took a break, 5-10 minutes. And when I came out of the break room, everybody, as I walked out, applauded. And I was like, why are they applauding? This is crazy. And I came out and I didn't really think too much about it. And I said, I'm still feeling a little ill. Is it okay if I sit down as I'm teaching the seminar? And they said, yeah, no problem. And by the end of the seminar, I was standing up and I was full force again. And the feedback was, thank you for telling us the truth, for telling us that you weren't feeling well, and for showing us that it's okay to dismiss yourself so you can recover and then come back and finish strong. The fact that you were able to come back was something that was very inspiring. And that was their biggest takeaway from the seminar. And I thought, okay, I was going to teach them something meaningful in terms of skills, but apparently it was that. Create the boundaries. That's one of the ways to not drown in the anguish. And then how can we veer back to our mission and focus with grace? Well, we veer back to it by realizing that that is our only option. What else are you going to do but to do that which is true to you, that which is alive in you? So just go back and take the curriculum. Go back and do the work. And if you feel again the anguish, you dismiss yourself. And the more you return, the more you practice, the more effortless it becomes. And this is why you say here, practice, yes, practice the return. All right. Any final questions? Anything that you feel like, I wish we could have gotten some more takeaways from this, or something more practical. This is where you have a chance to ask for what you need. What do you need? And if you don't know what that is, that's okay. You can message me later. But if something comes up right now, what do you need? And maybe I can assist you in finding that. Kyra.
About what you just said at the seminar, this is not really about the seminar that you're speaking of, but maybe in relationship to a bigger picture. Let's say you came back and they were annoyed because that was 10 minutes of their time, and then you sat down and you didn't feel well and you were staying true to yourself, but it wasn't well received and they didn't want you to come back and it wasn't great feedback. And although you were being true to yourself and your needs, it wasn't received well. Then what?
Not my problem. Not my problem. If you don't feel good about my behavior and you don't like it, well, then that's fine. That's totally acceptable. But I can't do anything about it. I can't control you. I'm not going to sit here and say, please, 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 can you just love me and think that I'm great because I took some time for myself to recover when I wasn't feeling well? Can't control that. People either agree or disagree. And then they may give you feedback where they say, well, you should have done this, or you could have done this. And then you can think, oh, wait a second. You're right. I could have done it like that. I apologize for that. I'm sorry I didn't notice that and that I behaved in this way. I'm going to try to integrate this lesson. But other than that, I can't change the way you feel. You're always going to feel the way that you choose to feel.
Do you remember a time in your life where that was not easy for you to say?
Right now, all the time. I'm just confident Carl is coming out and saying, not my problem.
Well, I appreciate it.
It's a constant battle. One of my things is I want to be loved. I want to be liked. I want to be appreciated. Part of my personal work is I need to be able to do what I do without any expectation of recognition ever. without any need for appreciation or showing respect or gratitude ever. Because the reward cannot be external. It has to come from inside for it to be meaningful and fulfilling. This is at the core of self-governance. That's the work. And that's my choice of design. I need to design a lifestyle that allows me, that encourages me, that reminds me that that's how I want to operate. And not only for selfish reasons, but for reasons that I believe can allow me to participate and contribute in a more meaningful way. Phil.
Can you understand me better now?
Now I can.
I was still connected to my headphones, sorry.
Okay.
Just a little thought. I also think that, well, first of all, you have to be very bold, so to say, in situations like this to stand up for yourself. But I think it's a great opportunity also for learning. At least it feels like in situations that I've gone through, when you just make the right decisions for yourself, even though when somebody or maybe something negative is the outcome, when you realize in the end that you stood up for yourself and stayed true to yourself, I think it's a great opportunity for learning, and it's also such a great feeling if you realize that you did something for yourself, even though other people were maybe angry, because it's hard to explain, but in this situation I'm thinking of, it just felt like I leveled up my personal development. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to explain, but I think situations like these make great opportunities for personal development shifts also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we all have different reasons for acting the way that we do. And as long as we can see that it's coming from a place of positive intention, then we can respect it. We may not accept it, but we can respect it. And we all evolve. Lifestyle design, there you have it. Design always sounds like it's going to be very clean and, oh, I'm going to give you this beautiful structure. Design is messy. The product is clean. It's simple. But in order to arrive at the simplicity, you need to learn how to navigate the complexity. And the complexity of life is not only the actions and interactions, but also the stories and emotions that come associated with them. And the more we can navigate those, the more simple things become. And that's my encouragement to you. Continue to live a simple expression of your life and continue to allow the complexity, the confusion, to influence it in ways where you have deliberate and meaningful relationships with it. Excellent. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you being here today and joining me. And as always, if anything comes up afterwards, feel free to message. This has been recorded, so I'm going to be uploading it into the group. You can watch it there. And as always, here to support as best as I can. For me, this is always a pleasure, and I really appreciate you allowing me to express myself so freely, and the fact that some of it resonates with you makes me feel seen, and maybe makes you feel seen as well. And if that's the case, then that's a pretty good session. Okay, I will see you next time. Thank you for being here, and much love to everybody. All right. Hasta la vista. Ciao. Bye, everybody. Thank you.